To the eternally curious, unapologetically superstitious Midnight Society rejects, Stormy Willow welcomes you. We are the eccentric coots, storytellers, explorers, dabblers, practitioners, and paranormal pupils who examine the what's-ifs, the what's-that's, and WTFs of this dimension and beyond.
Hello, paranormal friends, and welcome to the Stormy Willow podcast. We're a lighthearted, balanced examination of the paranormal. I'm your host, Sarah Collins Sellers.
And I'm your host, Adele Collins.
Hey, Adele, what's going on?
If you tuned in last week, you know I caught what I thought was a cold. And after 2.5 years, COVID finally got me. So,
do you feel like it's like the biggest game of tag? Like you've done well. You've made it like a really long time.
Yeah, it feels weird. I'm like, it finally got me.
Tag.
And it's like the one time I went and did anything social. Like I haven't really been doing anything, and that's all it took.
How are you feeling?
Just really tired. Like otherwise, it felt pretty much like a cold, which I really thought it was a cold, and I had tested negative at first, and then I tested again 2 days later, and it was positive, so.
It's so weird, isn't it? Like, the timing of everything. I've known people that they test, they're negative, and they test again, and they're positive, and then sometimes they don't test. Some of my friends I know that have had it have tested positive when it's almost already over.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, I don't know, it's just
I would
so
be
weird.
curious if I would test positive right now or not. Like,
right. It's just very strange.
I think it has like a 2-day kind of incubation period though, before you start showing symptoms, but I've been isolating, so I quarantined for over 5 days, but I think you're supposed to do at least 5 days.
And you're like, I'm never going out again.
And then, well, actually yesterday, no, wait, what's today? See, I have the bad brain fog too. I had a really hard time researching my topic this week, as well as like getting any work done last week. So, yeah, that brain fog is like a real thing. I'm just like so out of it. But we tried to go to the river because we live in New Mexico, so we tried to go to the Rio Grande, and it freaking rained us out. Like, what are the odds? So
and the Rio Grande is so cool. It is so fun. It's such a cool thing to see.
Yeah, we went up there to Embudo, so, you know, it was kind of a drive, and we were going to have a picnic and just hang out on the river. The second we get this really good spot, it just downpours, and we were like,
so you actually made it there, too.
Yeah, and it was like a cold rain, too, and it was not letting up.
That's just... what a shit show.
I was like, fuck this, I'm already sick. Let's just go home.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, let's just go for it.
Well, yeah. Pearl, our little dog, she was not a happy camper. She was not having it.
Oh, man.
So.
Oh, gosh. Adele, I'm really sorry that you have COVID and that you're not feeling well. A lot of you, if you're new to the podcast or you don't know, Adele is my baby sister and my favorite human in the universe. So when she doesn't feel well, I really hate it. It makes me really sad.
It's not like the worst I've ever felt. It just is lingering so long. Like, I'm tired of.
You think that you'll just all of a sudden just wake up and feel like amazing? Or I wonder how long it's going to last. Because everybody is so different. Like, that's the thing I think that's so weird about it, is like there's just no one size fits all with this crazy thing. It's just nuts.
The weird thing is I haven't had any symptoms that I had from the vaccine.
Which I know you struggled with the vaccine.
The vaccines and boosters hit me hard, but none of the symptoms that I have that, you know, from COVID or even
I remember
experience from the vaccines.
For me, the worst was the muscle cramps. Oh,
yeah. I mean, I guess the fatigue. I was tired, but I'm always tired though.
This could just be you about to be 35.
Yeah, that's
honestly,
true.
It really may not be COVID. This could be like welcome to 35.
That's true. Yeah. It's happening soon. So
I know. Oh
know,
my goodness.
welcome to middle age.
Yeah, you were used to that telling. I just turned 40, so yeah, it sneaks up on you, and things do change.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, maybe I need to start taking like some ginkgo biloba or something.
I'll take some like joint medicines and Metamucil or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so I attended an event, and speaking of events where you hopefully will not contract COVID, there's some fun, spooky events coming up this month.
Oh, tell us about it. Do tell.
Yeah, so next weekend, July 29th through the 31st, there's Midsummer Scream Halloween and Horror Convention in Long Beach, California.
That sounds amazing.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Same weekend, July 29th, there's a Supernatural Convention in Toronto, Ontario.
Nice. Yes.
And July 30th, the Oregon Bigfoot Festival and Beyond in Canby, Oregon.
All fun events. I wish I could just go to all of them.
Me too. And I don't know, if you do have COVID, or, be sure to test before and after, and wear a mask if you have symptoms, but otherwise...
Yeah, no kidding. It's probably a really good public service announcement there, Adele.
Yeah, it's spreading like wildfire. I think everybody's going to catch this one.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I don't know if I've just been asymptomatic or not, but I'm still out there in the tag you're it game, and we'll see how it goes.
I remember I tested Friday, was negative, tested Sunday, was positive, and I immediately told HR. And before I even sent my email, there were already 2 emails from HR being like, we had 2 people test positive. And then I was like, hi, I'm a third. And then the next day they were like, all right, 13 people have now tested positive. So just everybody, like, you were probably exposed to do what you need to do.
So you guys are like not very, like, you're not alone.
Yeah. So sorry.
Everybody
gave it.
Everybody's got brain fog there.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough, productive month for our company, I think.
Oh, you guys will get through it. You'll get through it. I know it.
Okay.
Well, let me maybe shed some light on what's coming this week in our astrological forecast. Maybe
hopefully good help.
Yeah, I've got some help for you. And our help today comes from our friends at mindbodygreen.com. Very fun website. I really like it a lot. And this is what we have to look forward to in our galaxy today, or actually starting tomorrow, July 25th. So get ready, people. Monday, people might be talking a big game, but are they all talk? Or are they going to walk the walk? So don't be a victim and take promises at face value. So anything that's going to sound too good to be true, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but maybe just kind of keep that. Don't get too overly excited about it. Okay. So it might be also a good time. Monday's first part of the week just seems a little like it might be a good time. I'm not
feeling that Leo energy.
Yeah.
What is this?
Well,
about?
wait, it's coming. It's gonna come. But the first part of the week, it's gonna be a little like people talking big and making these big promises, and it's gonna be all hype. And then it's also maybe a good time early this week if you are experiencing some uncomfortable truths to get them out in the open instead of sweeping them under the rug. So if there's times something you've been struggling with, maybe things aren't going so well, maybe just shed some light on it and deal with it instead of hiding it. So first part of the week's a little like all right, but the fierceness of Leo returns on Thursday, and it is time for self-expression, baby. Okay. And so the big thing with Thursday on to the ending part of the week and the weekend is, how do you make your mark on the world? How do you use your gifts and draw attention to yourself from your unique gifts? Because first impressions matter. So how do people see you when they first meet you? And if it's something you've been kind of maybe toying with, don't be ashamed to be beautiful. You be yourself, let it shine. People are going to love you if you love yourself. So fierceness is that. That is like the most Leo statement. So kind of yucky at the beginning of the week, but then the fierceness does return. Also, this week, you might feel like taking a break in some areas of your life. So if maybe you've started a new project and you feel like things are just they've just been progressing too quickly, it's time to maybe put it on hiatus for a little bit. And that is because Jupiter is going to flip into its 4-month retrograde, meaning it's going to kind of halt progress for you. So if you're working on a big project, you're just kind of feeling like things aren't coming together. It's not you, it's Jupiter. It's fine. Take the pit stop. It doesn't mean anything. Take the break. It's fine. So, before you maybe feel some sort of way about it or feel like I'm such a failure, like this project, really thought it was going to be awesome. I want you to know on October the 28th, retrograde and Jupiter will be back. Jupiter will be in Pisces, and that's just going to mean that this thing that you put on hiatus is going to return with a more spiritual and creative dimension to it. So it's not over. It's just a little hiatus, and it's going to come back this fall with a vengeance. So don't let it just like wreck you if your projects just aren't really coming together or making momentum. It's not you, it's Jupiter.
Fair enough.
So that's what you got this week. So, I mean, not a horrible forecast.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe just prepare for like ho-hum the first part of the week and then get ready to be a firecracker like our favorite Leo, the one and only Adele.
That's right. The OG. That's my name first. I'm older.
Well, Dad would argue with that.
Well, that's true. He's Grandpa was also a Leo.
We have a lot of Leos in our family.
Yeah.
A lot of Leos.
A lot of Leos. Scorpios too.
Yeah. I think I'm the only Cancer.
Mm-hmm. Nancy.
That's right. No, that's right. So we have a really good, and then the one Aries.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So not a horrible horoscope, but just hang in there. I hope it shines some light on maybe speaks to you on something that you're dealing with. So hang in there. Hang in there and be fierce. Be bold. Be you.
Be Leo.
Be Leo. So if you're new to our podcast or you haven't watched ever or at all, at the end of each episode, we have this wheel that we spin, and it gives us a topic that we're going to record or study and record for the next week. And so, Adele, if I remember correctly, I believe you landed on demons.
Yes, I did.
All right. I am pretty excited to see what you chose.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, a pretty timely one, I would say, with a lot of things going on in the world. So,
yeah,
just as an appetite for her badassness, she was feared by the ancient Babylonians, Hittites, Egyptians, Israelites, and Greeks. She's best known from the Old Testament and Jewish folklore. She's described as a hot, fiery female who first cohabitated with man in the Zohar Leviticus.
Wow.
She's rendered by Michelangelo as a half woman, half serpent. Serpent. And christened the patron of abortions by an Irish novelist, James Joyce.
A patron.
A patron of abortions.
Whoa.
So I don't think this lady needs any more introductions. Obviously badass. She's a winged demon goddess, seductress, original rebellious bad girl. This is Lilith from...
I was going to guess Lilith. Oh, Lilith. And we're not talking about Cheers.
Although I could see some qualities that are pretty similar with those two.
That's true. Oh my goodness. Oh, Lilith. Can we call her Lil? I feel like that's a hell no.
No, she's Lilith.
I think it's funny that you chose Lilith. Whenever when we were talking about in our horoscope, the fierceness of the Leo.
Yeah, and just all this shit going on with like abortion bans and women's rights, and I was like,
this is a good one. Maybe your story today will give us some good protest poster ideas.
I mean, what I in particular love about her is just how much everybody is so freaking terrified of her.
Right?
It's like the coolest thing.
Oh, Lilith. And of course, like, being the 90s kid I was, and you too, I always think about Lilith Fair
Yeah.
which is pretty freaking amazing.
Um,
So yeah, let's dig into it. I want to know more.
Because I actually didn't realize she was a demon.
No.
And we'll get into, her origin story. But I think most people, at least in like Judeo-Christian society today, know her from the Bible as Adam's first wife, who was... Oh, have you not heard that?
No.
Oh,
I was like, Adam had a first wife? What?
Okay, well, this might be news to some people.
It was news to me.
So,
listen, I don't remember being taught that. What Sunday school class were you in?
Well, I didn't learn this in church. I learned it in literature. So some people say that there's this. Okay, let's start with Genesis 1:27. It says male and female, he created them. So it doesn't specifically say Eve. And in this depiction, she's made from the soil with Adam. But I think most people hear about Eve and she's made from the rib of Adam. So some people are like, this is a different woman.
Gotcha.
And this kind of ties into her being like, I'm made from the exact same soil you are. And we were made at the same time. I am not your... Yeah, she's like, I'm equal to you and I'm not going to be submissive. And then he's just, I don't know, it kind of paints Adam as kind of like a little bitch too. Like she just refused to be subservient to him. And she ended up just leaving the garden. She was just like, screw you, I'm out. Bye.
So let's be clear. Adam didn't leave her. She pieced out.
She left his ass.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna get Lilith. I'm gonna get that name like tattooed on my arm with a heart. Lilith.
Oh yeah. So already she's just like, no, screw you. We're made from the exact same stuff.
Yeah.
And from the exact same God at the exact same time. I'm not, subservient to you.
Yeah, Lilith.
So God sends 3 angels to try to get her to come back, but she's still like, no, I'm not coming back.
I'm not putting up with this shit, okay?
Yeah. So and then there's like a second depiction of her where she is Adam's demonic, like she has like demon children. And we'll get into that a little bit later because I don't know. I think there's some like shaming of her. I don't think she's represented correctly, but so she's supposed to be the mother of Adam's demonic children.
Can I just time out really quick? I think so the church that Adele and I went to, and you know where I'm going with this 100%. So it was pretty theatrical, and they would always do like these plays and dances, like interpretive like dance and plays. And I'm just seeing this one so vividly in my head. I want to create that and start taking that to churches.
Yeah, this needs to be performed.
So if you're out there and you do performance art, I would like to just, suggest that this would be a great one.
Yeah.
This would be an awesome one.
This one could probably go beyond. I think maybe community theater even.
Yeah, like Narrowway Productions.
Oh, yeah.
Like a big Christian production where we live.
Oh, God.
Where they cage like animals or whatever.
Yeah.
So leave that alone.
We'll just leave that right there.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just seeing like this passion play where like she pieces out of the garden, like these 3 angels come down. She's like, I've had enough of this shit. I am not going back.
I'm not going back.
So like, he needs you. Fuck him. No.
Yeah.
I like this. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So and so sometimes it's like she's depicted as being like the demon mother from Adam's children, but also in some stories she has offspring with a chief demon named Samael, which we'll talk about him a little bit later. But what's interesting is sometimes these children are known as incubi and succubi. So incubus and succubus.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Okay.
So yeah, I think once we start digging into the origins of who she could be or what she was, it starts to sound a lot more like an incubus or a succubus in her case. Even
I don't know.
Hag,
I could be wrong, but I'm just going to go on the record that she was just a strong, independent woman, and so they painted this false picture of Lilith.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that she's kind of a seductress and she's like owning her sexuality. So I'm sure that that's already
so of course she's
a problem.
A demon.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. The story may change my mind, but right now I feel like she's been created very unfairly already.
Oh, I think she's a hero of her own story.
Yeah, like she's not a demon. She's a shero.
Yeah, totally. So let's start from the beginning of where we think this origin of her comes from. So she's derived from a class of Mesopotamian demons called Lilu or Lilitu, and it means night monster. And they're supposed to haunt people's dreams. So that already makes me think of like the hag or succubus, right?
Yeah.
And these even appear in the story of Gilgamesh. I don't know if you remember those stories. You've heard of Gilgamesh?
Yeah, I do. And for a second, I was thinking Gargamel. I know that's Smurfs.
Gilgamesh. So some accounts, the Lilitu dwell in the desert and open country, and they prey on pregnant women and infants. So I don't know. I kind of like that setting myself. So I don't know. Maybe I'm one of them. The Mesopotamian.
You're a descendant of Lilith.
Aren't we all? She was the original mother to us all.
That's true.
So the Mesopotamian goddess Lamashtu was a winged demon who caused miscarriages and kidnapped infants. And apparently her boobs were full of poison as well. I saw that.
What?
I don't know. So maybe she's derived from that as well.
Oh my God. Okay.
The Ardat Lily is a sexually frustrated and infertile female who behaves aggressively towards young men also. So it sounds like there's layers here of like this Mesopotamian era like baddies, I guess.
Yeah.
That sounds like this could be like kind of her origin story.
Okay.
Now,
supposedly.
Yeah, so she hasn't been named yet, right? Like she's not Lilith, but there are these things that kind of have a similar sounding name for what they're called.
Right.
So her first appearance by name was in Gilgamesh. It was the Gilgamesh and the Hulupu tree. And this is where she's first mentioned by name as Lilith, and this was around 2000 BCE.
Okay.
So a while ago.
Yeah, a little while ago.
So Gilgamesh is an epic hero, and he's searching for eternal life. He slays monsters and has adventures. So that's Gilgamesh.
Okay.
So in this story, this is a quest where he's assisting Inanna, the goddess of erotic love and war. Inanna is growing a hulupu tree, which is actually a willow tree.
Ooh, interesting, Smithers.
Yeah. So she's wanting to make a throne and a bed out of it once it's like grown. I guess she needs the wood. I don't know why a throne and a bed. Like,
she's like, I need matching furniture. Okay, that's what
she wants it to be, all matchy. So at some point, a dragon just makes a nest at the base of this tree.
Sure.
Lilith builds her house in the middle of the tree, and a zoo bird places his young at the top of the tree. So these things just kind of take over her tree. This must be a massive tree.
I was about to say, like, what kind of, this was like the original treehouse thing. You know how like tree houses are like the thing right now?
Oh yeah.
But, like, look at my treehouse resort.
Like, I mean, this is like Home Tree from like Avatar.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you got a dragon at the base, Lilith hanging out in the middle, another family.
A house up there.
I mean, is this like a condo? Is this like? I mean, I'm really.
It's a high rise.
Like, for real.
Yeah. So
okay.
The goddess is like, well, these things are in my tree. Like I need.
Like, I'm trying to make furniture.
Yeah.
Like,
so Gilgamesh kills the dragon, and then the others just flee. Like the birds fly away, and Lilith runs away to the desert.
Oh, I'm so surprised. I wouldn't think Lilith would.
I know, right? This seems out of character. I feel like she'd like make me leave.
Yeah, that's where I was going with the story in my head. I was like, she's gonna like make me.
Yeah, or like killed him.
All right.
So, yeah, that's the first time she's actually called Lilith.
So Lilith gets it. So first of all, Lilith is already divorced because of an asshole husband. She gets evicted from her treehouse. Like, I'm feeling kind of bad for her at this point. Like, life has not been good.
Yeah, I mean, what wouldn't make you a demon?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
going through all that.
I'm following her story, her character story.
Yeah. All right, now let's get back into the Bible. This is another mention of her by name. The only mention of a Lilith in the Hebrew Bible, so that's the Old Testament. She appears in the book of Isaiah.
Okay.
And Isaiah he lived around 742 to 701 BCE. So now we're getting up in the timeline. So it's been a while since that first account of her in Gilgamesh. But, you know, still pretty far away from where we are today. But anyway, in Isaiah 34:14, in which the prophet describes a barren wilderness laid waste by God's final judgment, it says, wildcats shall meet hyenas, goat demons shall greet each other. There too the Lilith shall repose and find herself a resting place. So kind of, you know, getting back to that desert dwelling from where she fled in Gilgamesh.
Right.
So several hundred years later, now this story is kind of talking about her and describing a similar setting. So also what's interesting about this is the text infers that readers are already familiar with Lilith because there's not really much of a description. Like, there's no details. It's like, you know.
We already know this character.
Right. So, I mean, they're describing Lilith just like hyenas, like something you're familiar with. So it sounds like she definitely had a presence, like, throughout this whole entire time.
Right.
And the King James Bible translated the Lilith as the screech owl, but the Revised Standard Version calls her the night hag. So that's where it kind of makes me think of the hag.
Boo hag, the original.
Yeah, and the 1917 Jewish Publication Society's Holy Scriptures call her the night monster.
Aww.
So that kind of takes us back to the Lilu or Lilitu.
Right.
So I don't know, it's all kind of painting a story that does sound cohesively like her origin. She's also mentioned in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So she appears in a hymn called Song for a Sage, and this hymn was possibly used in exorcisms. I quote, "And I, the sage, sound the majesty of his beauty to terrify and confound all the spirits of destroying angels and the bastard spirits, the demons, Lilith, and those that strike suddenly to lead astray the spirit of understanding and to make desolate their heart." So that was the mention of her there.
Okay.
And, you know, I tried to Google pictures of her and there's not really much there. So
Really?
I do have a few kind of descriptions.
Okay.
So in ancient Near East mythology, demon goddesses were often depicted with wings and bird feet. So you do kind of see her with like these talon kind of feet and wings.
Aww.
And the Talmud, the central text of rabbinic Judaism, it describes her as having long hair and wings. So
that's like a gargoyle with long hair and wings.
Yeah, I mean, that's about it. Like, I really couldn't find much of. I'm assuming she would be very attractive, like a seductress, like a
I'm not seeing that. But I mean, I don't know what was hot back then.
Right. So I don't know. Maybe she's changed with the times. Who knows? Also, so as I was saying, it seems apparent that people were familiar with Lilith and fearful of her. There's even like protection relics that are found for people like trying to protect themselves specifically from Lilith.
Wow. Okay.
So the 5th to the 8th century incantation bowls were used. And you could supposedly trap a demon like Lilith in this bowl if you bury it under your front door. So there have been bowls found like that in those locations.
Okay. So then people were like legit terrified of Lilith.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they were really afraid of her. And these bowls were made by holy people and inscribed with incantations.
Okay.
And then these later evolved into amulets, including the image of Lilith bound, and those 3 angels that I think tried to get her to go back to the garden are on there. And like some prayers are like inscribed on it. And one limestone wall plaque from the 7th or 8th century BCE found in Syria read, "O you who fly in the darkened rooms, be off with you this instant, Lilith, thief, breaker of bones." So she's called out by name as people like really not wanting her to be in their house. And according to this source, this was biblicalarchaeology.com, perhaps Lilith feared being recognized, and if she saw her name in writing, maybe that would work her off. There's like one theory on why people were putting her name.
Humiliated. She's like, really?
Yeah, like rude. She's probably like, I don't even want to be at your house. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Like, I don't.
I'm still on Lilith's side so far, I gotta say.
Yeah, I like her.
I'm still there.
I think she and the Jersey Devil should be friends, and we should throw like a party with them.
I agree. I think that they're completely misunderstood.
Misrepresented. Yes.
Misrepresented.
So this theory of Lilith being the first wife of Adam actually came about in the Middle Ages. So here again, she's kind of withstanding the test of time. It was called the Alphabet of Ben Sira, and it was by an anonymous author. So it contained 22 episodes, and each episode represented each letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So that's why it's the alphabet. So in episode 5, this includes Lilith, but makes her Adam's first wife. And she refuses to be inferior to Adam. And something about the Middle Ages, they always like to make fun of sexuality. So in particular, they're saying she does not want to be on the bottom. Like, she does not want to do missionary. She wants to be on top. And this is like what is like her final straw with him.
Ruins her whole reputation because she has a sexual preference.
Yeah. So
this is some poor Lilith.
So yeah,
like, she speaks out for herself and what she wants. It's like people are banning her from their homes, like putting jars out so she doesn't come in, kicking her out of the damn tree house.
Poor Lilith.
Oh.
So she gets so frustrated with Adam that she says aloud the name of God, which is supposed to be like, I don't know, Rumpelstiltskin, I guess. Like, you're not supposed to say it. Like, it's a no. Like, you're not supposed to speak the name of God. And she does. So
kind of like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, exactly. So she's so frustrated, she speaks God's name.
I can't do this anymore.
And then I guess she gains the ability to fly after that. It's kind of unclear. So I'm like,
that's pretty cool. Okay.
So then she, in this story, she flies after she calls God's name, and she flies away to the Red Sea out of the Garden of Eden. And the Red Sea is significant because this is where the Israelites gained freedom from Pharaoh. So there's kind of that symbolism there with her flying to the Red Sea to get freedom from Adam.
Yeah.
And God tells Adam that 100 of Lilith's children must die each day that she is gone. So I guess she's really fertile and has kids really fast. I don't know. And then here there's 3 angels again. So 3 angels are sent to find Lilith, and when they do, she refuses to return to Eden. She claims she was created to devour children, and this is kind of her retaliation against Adam, it seems, to just kill all these kids. So now this is kind of where early on in the episode, I told you she was mostly feared by pregnant women and accused of being like a baby snatcher. So I think this is where that kind of comes from. It takes her to like a much darker place.
I mean, kind of like people that believe in, like, you know, it's your choice. Doesn't mean you're a baby killer.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say.
Right. A lot of this is pretty funny and happening in the Middle Ages and these conversations. And
it's all happening now. She's just like, you do you, man. I don't care.
Yeah, she's like, I don't give a shit.
And now she's a baby killer.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So I guess the angels kind of run out of options. So they're like, look, if you don't come back, we're going to drown you in the Red Sea. And so to avoid
We're not
being
really asking you. We're just saying you have to come back or we're going to kill you.
yeah,
What would you like?
all right, we were trying to be nice, but now no, we're going to drown your ass if you don't come back.
We're sick of this game. You're getting waterlogged, bitch.
Yeah, like you're making us look bad to our boss.
Word. Okay.
So, to avoid being drowned, she promised to not harm babies who wear amulets with her name. So they were like, okay, deal. So now, maybe that's why now I want an amulet with her name on it. Just because.
Ew.
But this was such a great quote from the alphabet. It said, man cannot cope with women's desire for freedom, and woman will settle for nothing less. So it's like an endless struggle.
Pretty powerful.
Yeah. So that was the alphabet, which I kind of, maybe that needs to be on our book list. I would love to read it because there's other stories too. Like this is only episode 5.
Wow.
And I love anything that's like a satire. So it sounds like it was kind of a satire poking fun at like a lot of the religions at the time. So
for sure.
I'm already a fan. And the person was anonymous. Obviously they didn't want
was probably written by Lilith.
Probably. It was probably written by the Pope.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So now there's also Lilith in the Zohar. So this is a fundamental Kabbalistic tome, and it was compiled by Moses de Leon in Spain in 1250 to maybe 1305. So here she's still moving on up in time.
Yeah.
Sticking around. So Kabbalists equals like late medieval mystics. So that's like the kind of people who are writing this and reading this.
Okay. I'm down.
Yeah. So this includes a reevaluation of Genesis 1:27 in the Talmud. Remember whenever I said, and God created man in his image. I think it said created them. So it says, and God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So this suggests that God created, this sounds so stupid, but this is a theory that suggests that God created a single androgynous being. So it's half male, half female.
Okay.
And then centuries later, the Zohar explains that male and female were separated physically at some point. So in this notion, God made Adam sleep and then he cut Lilith off of him and made them two separate beings.
Okay.
I know. It's like what?
And then like a complicated relationship.
Yeah. And then Eve was created and Lilith, she was created from Adam's rib.
Right.
Lilith is still there. She's just cut off of Adam now. And Lilith just can't stand her. Like, she hates how much she clings to Adam. And she's just like, I can't take you idiots. And she flies away and leaves.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
So even in the story, Lilith is still painted as an evil hater of men. I quote, she wanders about at nighttime, vexing the sons of men and causing them to defile themselves.
Poor Lilith.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I don't know. She sounds like a vixen to me. I think she's badass.
I think she's an independent person.
She's great.
And I didn't know what to do with her. And heaven forbid she inspired a group of women.
Yeah.
I mean, so they had to make these stories up about her so people would fear her.
Yeah. So even in the Zohar, she tries to seduce King Solomon and almost succeeds, but he notices she has like hairy bird feet and it's like, oh, you're a demon.
You know what? How dare him? Like, maybe she has some, maybe she's a diabetic. I mean,
yeah. So in this collection, she partners with Samael, and he is the leader of fallen angels. So in the Zohar, this is where he comes from. And God actually fears that they will produce a bunch of demons together, so he castrates Samael. So she
okay.
is such a bad bitch. She has God afraid of her and her
What will she
partnership with
do?
Samael.
Oh man.
And then I have some honorable mentions as well because she's referenced a lot throughout history, as you can tell.
Yeah.
So she inspired many stories, including the White Witch in the Chronicles of Narnia. Supposedly she's supposed to be one of Lilith's daughters, the White Witches.
Okay.
Which that character's great too.
Yeah.
Like, bad bitch. These are all bad bitches. Like, love it. So then in the 20th century, this is when you really start to see Lilith as more of that hero with like Lilith Fair and being like the badass feminist that she is. So in 1972, the writer and filmmaker Lily Rivlin published a groundbreaking article about Lilith in Miss magazine. And the Jewish feminist magazine Lilith launched in 1976.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So I quote, self-sufficient women inspired by the women's movement have adopted the Lilith myth as their own, wrote Rivlin in the 1988 book, Witch Lilith. They have transformed her into a female symbol for autonomy, sexual choice, and control of one's own destiny. Lilith is a powerful female, Aviva Cantor Zukoff wrote in the first issue of Lilith magazine. She radiates strength, assertiveness. She refuses to cooperate in her own victimization. By acknowledging Lilith's revolt and even in telling of her vengeful activities, myth makers also acknowledge Lilith's power. So, bad bitch.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I think everybody, well, at least in our generation, Lilith Fair was also like the big thing started by Sarah McLachlan with all these really great, talented female musicians.
Yes.
And this I thought was just a fun fact to really hit home with how terrified people were of her. So the Babylonian Talmud, an ancient source of Jewish law, states, I quote, "It is forbidden for a man to sleep alone in a house lest Lilith get hold of him." So boys, you better not be sleeping alone because she's going to get your ass.
Whoa.
So that's the story of Lilith. And
holy shit.
The kind of fogginess of her true origin, but man, she really has evolved and stood the test of time. And
she really has.
And inspiration.
I think so too. And I just I don't see her as a demon by any means. I feel like she was maybe one of the first, possibly the first woman to ever be outspoken and say, no, this is not for me. Like, yeah. I choose this. And look what, not just society, but like, look what they've done to this woman through history. Like, she's this evil, horrible person, And it's like, no, she wasn't. Yeah. I think she just was like, no.
She just, had preferences and, asserted her decisions.
She may have had some, issues with her feet. Everybody's got something, like, so you can shame her for that too. Like, I'm on the side of Lilith. What about you?
I didn't include it in here because, like I said, especially in the 20th century, you start to get like a lot of different references. So I try to, keep this concise, and I can't remember the source, but there's one story, I think around the 70s that a feminist author wrote to where Lilith, she comes back to like, I don't know, I would say like the gate of where the Garden of Eden is. And she's waiting for Eve. And then Eve hops the fence and then they talk to each other and realize they both really don't like Adam. And sisterhood is like born then. And it's like that whole like feminist movement. And then like Adam's being like a little bitch and complaining to God about how Lilith's like corrupting Eve. And
isn't that the thing that people are so afraid of, like when women have power?
Yeah, I think this is like that's exactly what this whole story is about. Everybody is so terrified of a powerful woman that they won't even sleep in a house alone.
Ridiculous. Well, I'm a fan of Lilith.
I would, if I could find more images of what she looks like, I would totally get her as a tattoo.
Oh, for sure.
And
doesn't that say a lot too, that you can't even really find images?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like they erased her from history and then built her into who they wanted you to think she was.
And I did see a beautiful painting. I can't remember who did it. If you Google Lilith, it'll be like one of the first things that pops up. And she's like naked and has a snake like wrapped around her, but she's kind of like caressing it. And I'm like, I don't like that depiction of her. Like, that's not like, she wasn't like, you know, I'm like, that makes it look like she wanted original sin and she was
I don't like that.
I'm like, no, that's not
who she
it's demeaning.
I believe she was. I agree. Like, so because you have an opinion and a preference, you're all of a sudden like a horrible, just, you know, murdering baby sin like that. I hate that. Like, I just like that. I hate that so much.
Yeah.
So she had a sexual preference. She wanted to spice things up a little bit.
Right.
You know, Adam was getting on her nerves. I mean, shit, she already had 100 of his children. And I love how they're demons. Like, I feel like he's that person too, like, oh, this is Lilith's kid. Acting like
he's like such a passive little bitch, though. Like, right? Like, oh, I didn't eat the fruit. Eve gave it to me. She plucked it and I bit it. Like
totally,
yes. Not take responsibility for anything, Adam.
For real. I agree. I'm not a fan of him, but I mean, poor Lilith. I just feel like we need to recreate an image of Lilith, like a badass image of Lilith.
Yeah, I think so.
For sure, because I really feel like she gets a really bad rep. And I feel like women today do. Like, you know, I feel like because I am a pro-choicer that I get like, oh, you hate babies. And that has nothing to do with it.
Right.
Like, at all.
It's so frustrating.
I feel like that's how Lilith possibly was. It's like, oh, you know, you don't want to reproduce and have like another 500 children. You want a choice. Oh, you hate babies. You're a baby killer.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Oh, totally.
And that's how I feel like still happens today. And it just makes me, because I don't think that's a true depiction of Lilith. And I don't think it's a true depiction of people today.
And like, I know like when Rock Hill Pride started, like, I think it was last year, not this most recent one, but like people were, I don't know, just saying like the dumbest shit. And I'm like, do you know gay people? Like, they kept, for sure, I don't know, like, if this is like something that like fundamentalists think, but they were like, they kept saying like, oh, you're just jealous because you can't have babies. And I was like, no, what are you talking about? Like, we don't, like you can, like a lot of gay people do have children, and
like wait, what? Gay people are parents? What?
But I didn't understand this. It's like they kept trying to like use it as like, but I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Like,
I remember
people aren't jealous of you guys breeding.
Like that whole, I remember we did an episode and we read in the local newspaper the people we weren't even making it up. We just read the actual comments. And it was really hard to, I try to give people a benefit of the doubt and try to maybe understand where they could be coming from, but I couldn't in any of those. I'm like, I have logic. There's none. I don't know where anyone's coming from here.
Yeah, it's those same exact people that I can see, and literally in the alphabet, Lilith's like, I don't want to be laying in the dirt. How about we take turns?
I mean, like, she's not wrong for Lilith.
I guess it's the same people who'll be like, oh, she's a baby killer. Like, cause she doesn't in the dirt. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? How do you jump from A to 50? Like, that's their logic. I'm like, I just don't understand it.
She disobeys her husband.
Yeah, like
evil demon.
Fucking idiots.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I don't know. I'm a fan of Lilith. The story did not change my view on her whatsoever. If anything, it made me want to get a t-shirt that says Lilith, like maybe one of the amulets I can wear around my neck.
I think we need some Lilith amulets as merch.
For sure. I'm there.
I'm
I like her. I like her. Still love the Jersey Devil. Nothing changed on there.
Calling him a devil and her a demon. They're just misunderstood people.
The Jersey Devil just needed someone just to teach him some manners. He didn't have a chance.
He didn't.
He could have been rehomed.
He was child 13. He just knew he was going to be struggling to get any type of affection and was like, peace, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this. He
just needed to be rehomed in a good home. He would have been fine.
Lilith would probably be a fine mother to him.
I think so too. I agree. Well, maybe the next animal I get, I'll name Lilith.
That would be pretty sweet. It definitely should be a cat, don't you think?
Yeah, probably a cat or a goldfish.
Well, that is the story of Lilith, who is referred to as a demon, but I think she was demon-ized. I don't think she is truly a demon.
That is good. That needs to be on a t-shirt too. Yes. Lilith, not a demon. Demonized. Yes. I think that's the perfect way to sum up Lilith. She was 100% demonized. Yeah. And I think she was probably lovely, and she's somebody I would go have a drink with and probably have a great time with.
I mean, I think she sounds like a blast.
Me too. Me too. She would be at these protests. She would be doing all the work.
Well, I love how women can sleep in their house alone. But men can't. Don't let Steven. You're gonna have to get him a babysitter.
I know. I'm like, I can't. I gotta go home with my husband. Like, why? Can't he take care of himself? I want Lilith to get him. God,
Lilith might get him.
Jeez. I'm like, but he falls asleep on the couch. I'm like, okay, well, something. If Lilith gets you, I warned you.
Here's a little cup. Better put it under your pillow.
I'll put a little amulet around his neck. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Thank you for telling us about Lilith. And if you thought the struggle was real, I mean, shit, it goes back to BC. So
it goes back to literally the beginning of humanity.
I really wish I could say things have changed, but they really haven't since Lilith's time. So that's a little depressing.
We just need to take it from her playbook though and be like, fine, you want to see a real bitch?
Let's go. Yes, let's go. I saw this TikTok where with all the shit going on, the dumpster fire that we live in, these ladies are protesting, obviously for Roe v. Wade being overturned. They were talking about how they're trying to overturn gay rights and all this stuff, and they're like, if you think a bunch of bitchy women are mad, wait till you piss off the gays. And it's like they'll be 10 times more mad at us with rainbows.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you think that we're hard, they're like, oh, you have no idea.
I know they're going to do it. I know they're going to go after that next. And the gays know how to, I mean, we've always been kind of a public enemy. Like, we know how to unite. And
you know what I love is that the gays,
we'll kick you in your pocketbook. Like,
I love how the gays call it a protest, but turn it into a damn festival.
Right.
That's the best. It's like, oh, they just gay people even make protests like a blast. Like, how can you not like these people? Like, what's the matter with you?
Oh yeah. They're gonna be the most clever signs too.
Oh, it's gonna be on. I'm like, I don't want it to happen. I don't want it to happen, but it's gonna be some really good footage.
I think it's going to, and
I know. And they're going to look damn fabulous doing it.
It's going to be epic.
Yeah. And I think you get all of the us fighting together. I'm like, you guys are really getting ready to start a shit show with a bunch of glitter and angry people. Yeah. Like, it's going to be bad.
It's like you're coming after everybody who's not a white straight man. So that's a lot of people you're really going after.
You want all of us to combine forces? Let's do it.
Let's play.
Let's go.
Let's play that game. Let's do it.
I am there.
I'm dressing up like Lilith.
Me too.
I'm gonna wear some wings.
I'm not gonna wear shoes and not let my toenails grow out or something. Like talons. Try to cut people. Sorry, that was
Just
really
tell all
hard.
them, like, you guys just get back in the garden. Stay in there.
Taking my shoes off, coming at you. Oh man! Well, on that note, do we want to spin the wheel to see what I get to learn about this week?
Yeah, let's spin the wheel. So, in case you're new to the show, or like I said last week, in case you never listened to the end, at the end of each episode, we spin a wheel with different topics, and then that will let us know what we're going to talk about next week. All right. Can you see this?
I can see it.
All right, cool. I'm shuffling the list.
All right. Got my pen ready.
Let's spin it. Entity.
Ooh, okay.
Also said as entity. That'll be fun. That's a nice broad topic.
That'll be a fun topic. I don't know if we've really covered a lot of entities.
No. I mean, that could be like the black-eyed kids. That could be...
It could just
demons. It could be a lot.
It could be a whole lot.
That's a fun one.
Really good. I mean, it could be the January 6th insurrection. I mean...
Yeah.
It technically could.
It kind of could. The Army of Darkness trying to prevail.
Yeah. Right? No, we're going to take a break for that on this podcast for sure. We're going to talk about fun demons. We're talking usually about the dead, because our grandpa Herman always told us to always fear the living, and boy, he was right.
Do not trust the living.
Do not trust the living. Yes. Well, as we always say here, and I guess we're going to add this to it, we hope that you have an amazing week. We hope that you stay curious.
And stay safe.
And don't trust the living.
Don't trust the living. Ever.
Do not. Ever. Bye, you guys.
Bye.